Bad here, man. Try teaching in a community college. That's okay. This is an IP address. This is how you turn on a virtual machine, and this is in an ethical hacking class. Like, why didn't they make prerequisites for this course? Oh, doesn't look like
Teach
it's
that
like
class
they
in
have that.
community college?
Huh?
Do they offer that class in community college?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm revamping it, and I've got to go through my curriculum committee at Coastline to fix it. Now they're really good about this, so they'll be able to do this for fall. The ethical hacking class I have it's right now a 200 level class. I want to move it down to a 100 level class and make it an actual introductory beginner, because the labs that they have in it are seriously step by step by step by step. You need no knowledge going in, all right? The problem that I'm having is with my other 200 level class, the Pen Test Plus class, where people are going into that class and they have no knowledge. There was no prerequisite. They can just sign up for it because it's a CompTIA class, right? And they're struggling because I'm making them download VMware, because we had VMware there, and install it and set up a virtual environment, and I just have these students that are struggling. And they need to have a couple of prerequisite courses. They need to have the basic VMware course first, and they need to have the ethical hacking course first, and then they can take the Pen Test Plus class. Then they'll be fine. So, I can't do that without going through the academic bureaucratic nightmare that is the curriculum committee, which is not bad at Coastline. I mean, you basically put in your proposal in March, and it gets authorized in April, and then it's done in May. That's like the fastest I've ever seen. To do something like here, this is why it took 5 years to convert to semesters. Oh well, I digress. I need to get off my soapbox. My coffee's kicking in. Richard asked me how I was doing this morning when we got in the elevator. I said, ask me in 10 minutes when I've had like 5 minutes. It's been 10 minutes. Sometimes I like teaching in the morning, sometimes I don't.
Did you go over the storm control commands or whatever on
I'm going to do that today.
What?
I'm going to do that today.
You're doing that today?
We only did half of the lab last week.
Okay. That was the only part of it.
Or half the homework last week, I'm sorry.
I missed class on Thursday, but I don't feel like I have that assignment completed except for the storm control.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we did not cover part of it, so let's take a look at that real fast. It is week 9. Oh yeah, so this is like an off week, so we're going to talk about Wireshark and network forensics. That's cool. So there's not really a lecture this week. We're going to talk about Lab 3, and we'll talk about the homeworks. So let's go ahead and jump into the homeworks. So I think, is that homework 5 or homework 6?
6.
Yeah, we did 5 already, that's right. Week 6. Yeah, week 6. Oh, now you're gonna work. That's really odd. Ian is not here.
I almost know it.
Yeah, it's not good. Okay, layer 2 security. Oh, we had not done this one yet. We had not gotten to this one yet.
No, we haven't started.
That's right, because this is the really, really, really big one. All right. we'll start going through it then. Feel bad nobody else is here. Jennifer's not here. Wait. No. It's on the other class. Huh. Okay. Alright, well, let's go ahead and get started then. So, there's Jennifer. Your ears burning? I was just talking about you. I was like, where's Jennifer? Was there like bad traffic or something?
Oh, I was sitting like farther away and I thought the classroom wasn't open.
Yeah, I got here a little bit early today. Okay, so we're going to deal a lot with switches here in configuring port security, storm control, the root bridge, and everything else. So for the most part, what we need to do is, let's pull up. Of course, I put everything. So most of what you need to complete this lab for homework 6 is in the chapter 6 slides. So when you get to port security and BPDU guard and root guard, DHCP guard, a lot of stuff that's in these little boxes here, it's a good hint. So I would keep this presentation just kind of handy and off to the side. All right. So we need to configure the root bridge. So central is basically our centralized core switch, right? And we're going to look at the spanning tree and how it's configured, and which switch is the current root bridge, and then we're going to assign central to be the root bridge. All right? So let's go ahead and I cheat to get into these things, so I don't have to use passwords. Okay. Ah, there you are.
Yeah.
Running late today. Getting worried. You hit traffic?
No. Person I carpool with was kind of slow this morning.
Your car with what?
My carpool buddy was kind of slow this morning.
Oh, your dad was slow this morning?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. I could give him grief later.
Exactly.
It's all good. My carpool buddy was slow this morning as well. But I'm the professor and she's the student, so go figure. Okay, so what we need to do here is look at the show spanning tree.
Is this set it?
This is 6. Yeah, we're picking up where we left off on Thursday. This is, as you guys told these 3, network forensics and Wireshark week. So we'll go over, it's kind of just a free-flowing lecture on those couple of topics, and it also is kind of a before, as you've gotten past the midterm, and help you catch up, and we'll get started on lab 3. Lab 3 is the hardest lab in this course because it covers the most material. We'll get to that, if not today, we'll get to it on Thursday for sure. How did everybody feel about the midterm? Everybody got the midterm done? Nobody had like what midterm? Okay, I get that usually from one person when I have bigger classes. What midterm? Midterm that was open last week. What midterm? Midterm you're supposed to do by Sunday. What midterm? I've had that experience. So thank you for not being that student. Okay, so anyway, we do the show spanning tree. We basically see here that we have a spanning tree on VLAN 1, and that our root ID is 32769. The bridge ID 32769, and the MAC address of the root bridge. Okay, so basically, this is telling us that we are not the root bridge, because it would say this bridge. And what we're going to do is we're going to elect ourselves as the root bridge. Okay, by using the spanning tree VLAN 1 root primary command. Okay. So, big T, spanning tree, VLAN 1, root, primary. Let me put that in there. And then we're going to assign switch 1 as the secondary root bridge. Okay, so we're going to go to switch 1, which is right here. Pull it up. Spanning tree, VLAN 1, root, secondary. Okay? Now we go back to central. And we do the show spanning tree. Right? And you see that our priority has changed, our address has changed. This bridge is the root. That was missing before. Okay? That's what you're looking for on your root bridge, on the switch that you want to be the root bridge. If you don't see that, that's hard. Alright? And you know, that is our MAC address, and you see that the MAC address of the root and the bridge are the same. That's how we know that that's what it is. We go to switch 1, then we do the show spanning tree. We see the priority of the bridge, and that is central. We have a hello time, and then we see our bridge identity as well. But it doesn't say that we're the secondary. We won't see that we are the secondary, or who the secondary is from this command. Okay. Hello, guys. We are working on homework 6. So that you know, we are basically getting through some part 1 right now. So we basically set central as the root bridge and switch 1 as the secondary root bridge. And moving on to part 2. So how are we going to protect against spanning tree attacks? We're going to enable port fast on all access ports, enable BPDU guard on all access ports, and enable root guard. Root guard is going to be enabled on all ports on a switch that are not root ports. It is best deployed on ports that connect to other non-root switches. Use the show spanning tree command to determine the location of the root port on each switch. And fortunately, it walks you through how to do that. It tells you that enable root guard on fast Ethernet 0, 23, and 24. On switch 2 and on switch 1 and on switch 2, enable root guard on ports 23 and 24 as well. Okay? So let's go ahead and enable port fast on switch A and switch B. So here's switch A. Bring her up. Let's do a show run real quick. And so basically looking at switch A, all of these ports 1 through 24, gig 01 and 02, they're all set up as access ports. But we know they're not all access ports. Why? Look at the diagram. This here cannot be an access port. This here cannot be an access port. Why? What's it tied to? What's it connected to? Another switch. A connection to another switch should not be an access port. Can it be an access port? Yes. Will it work as an access port? Yes. That's bad design. You need to have it as a trunk port, which they get to later on. Okay? So, what we're going to do is, we're only going to look at these access ports. Alright? So, if we go back to our diagram here, and we just hover over it, we can see all the different ports. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, those are our access ports that are going to our PCs. And then 23 and 24 are our trunk ports going to our switches. So we do not want to put port fast on those. So we're only going to put port fast on 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's do that on switch A real quick. And I'm going to use the range command because I'm lazy. So int range F0/1-4. That will open up all of those. It will push whatever I write now on the command line to all those ports. And I'm just going to do the spanning tree port fast command. It gives me a big old warning. Make sure you're only doing this on ports that are access ports. Okay, because if you put this on a trunk port, you need to have spanning tree recalculate if something goes down and comes up. Otherwise, you can institute a spanning tree loop if you use port fast on your trunk port. So be careful. And we're going to do the same thing over here on switch B. Again, 1 through 4. So let me bring up switch B. Spanning tree, port fast. Done. All right. And back to our instructions. So I believe that's all we needed to do for step 1. Let's check our results real quick. Yep, looks like we got port fast on. Oh, they don't have it for 1. We do have it on 2, 3, and 4. I guess we're gonna do something with 5 and 6 later on. So we did get the port fast stuff all set. And we're only at 7 points out of 55. Oh dear. Alright. So let's enable BPDU guard on all the access ports. Alright, so BPDU guard is a feature that helps in ensuring that a rogue switch does not attach to a port and inject spanning tree information into our switch fabric. So we want to enable BPDU guard on switch A and switch B access ports. So here we're going to do the spanning tree BPDU guard enable on each individual port, and then the command in the interface configuration mode, or the spanning tree port pass BPD guard default in the global configuration mode. For grading purposes in this activity, please use the spanning tree BPD guard enable command. So they want us to do it on the interface. So let's bring that back up again. Again, this is on the access ports. Spanning tree. I'm still in the range mode. That should work. Gonna do the same thing on B. Okay. Now we'll check results. So BPD guard is on there on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4. Okay, so that's all we had to do for that. And hey, we're up to 15 points now. Yay. Okay, now we have to enable root guard. So on switch 1 and switch 2, we're going to enable root guard on F0/23 and F0/24. So here, root guard can be enabled on all ports. So let's go to switch 1 and switch 2. There's switch 1. Come on, you. Let's go ahead and int range F0/23-24. That'll let us configure both ports at the same time, and then put root guard in. Hello, David. All right. Spanning tree, guard, root. Spanning tree, guard, root. And do the same thing on switch 2 for both those ports, 23 and 24. Which we do not have switch 2 up yet. There we go. And let's move on to storm control. So enabling storm control to configure the broadcasts. So we're going to enable storm control on interfaces connecting central, switch 1, and switch 2, and set it to 50% suppression. All right, using the storm control broadcast command. All right, but we want to enable this on the interfaces. So between central and switch 1, central and switch 2, we've got to do it on all 3 switches. So for central, if we go back here and look and hover our thing here, so we have 3 interfaces that are up. So F01 is tied to R1, and then these gigabit interfaces are tied to our 2 switches. Okay? So we need to do the storm control on gig 01 and gig 02. So when we bring up central, int G 0 slash, so what's 2324? Oh, 01 gig, oh, gig. Oops. Yeah, 0 int range, gig 0 slash 1 dash 2. And so the storm control command for broadcasts, the level is going to be set to 50. Okay, so the big thing is, what interfaces am I putting them on? So we have to do the same thing for switch 1 and switch 2 that are connecting to central. Now the question I would have is, do we have to do it for the other ports as well? Enable storm control on interfaces connecting central, switch 1, and switch 2. No, so these should just be the gigabit 01 on switch 1 and the gigabit 01 on switch 2. Int G 0/1. Storm control, broadcast, level 50. Switch 2, int G 0/1. Storm control, broadcast, level 50. Now if we go back to our results. We have root guard, we have storm control on switch 1, root guard, storm control on switch 2. Where's central at? Ah, we're not doing it on central, huh? Not getting graded on central? That's kind of weird. Alright, fine. No big deal. So, looks like we also have to do it on fast Ethernet 23, 24 on switch 2. So they do want us to put it on all of the trunk ports. Okay, fine. Okay, so we go back to switch 1 and switch 2. Really easy to do. So we're missing it on fast Ethernet 23 and 24 and 1. Int F 0/1. You hit the up arrow a few times, get that storm control back, command back. And then you can do an int range F 0/23-24. Up arrow a couple of times, get the command, enter it in. Do the same thing on switch 2. I'll go a little slower this time. It's the same command, you're just doing a lot of repetition. Big T, int F 0/1. Storm control, level 50 command. And then we're going to do int range for 23 and 24. F 0/23-24. That allows us to do the command simultaneously on both interfaces. And if we clear that, we go back, look, see where we're at. Pretty good. So, that answer your question on storm control? Good. So, now we have a lot of port security to do to finish this homework up. basically fixes part 3. So part 4 is where we're going to configure port security and disable unused ports. So configuring basic port security on all ports connected to host devices. These are access ports, excuse me. All right. So we need to do it on all access ports on switch A and switch B. Set the maximum number of learned MAC addresses to 2. Allow MAC address to be learned dynamically, and set the violation to shutdown. Note, a switch port must be configured as an access port to enable port security. So I'm going to cheat here a little bit, and I'm going to look at switch A and switch B and look at what ports I have to do this on. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like 1, 2, 3, and 4 is where we're going to do the port security. Okay. So I'm going to start with switch A. And I'm going to go ahead and get into all those ports simultaneously with the range command. Int range F0/1-4. I have to make it an access port. Switch port, mode, access. Okay, that's your prerequisite command I was just talking about. Okay? All right, so set the maximum number of learned MAC addresses to 2. So we got to use the port security command. Switch port, port security, maximum, not MAC address, 2. Allow the MAC address to be learned dynamically and set the violation to shutdown. Oh, I think I goofed up. No, I didn't. So switch port, port security, MAC address, sticky. That's what you have to do to make it dynamic. That's what you have to do to make it dynamic. Okay? And last but not least, set the violation to shutdown. Switch port, port security, violation, shutdown. Those 3 commands. Switch port, port security maximum 2. Switch port, port security MAC address sticky. Switch port, port security violation shutdown. Do the same thing on switch B. Same exact number of ports. So do your range command 0/1-4. Switch port mode access. Switch port, port security, maximum 2. Switch port, I spell switch port right. Switch port, port security, MAC address, sticky. Switch port, port security, violation, shutdown. Check results. Wow, real close. So now we just have to figure out what we need to do for this fast Ethernet 5 and 6 for port status. So it looks like for 5 and 6, this is the ones that way they want us to shut them down. so that they're not being used. So in a real situation, we'll switch A and B. Since I know that if I look at a do show interface, I'm sorry, not do, show interface, one brief. Everything's on one VLAN, so do show interface VLAN, show interface Ethernet. Status. There we go. Show interface status. I can see which ones are up and down, etc. So I see 1, 2, 3, and 4 connected. 23 and 24 are connected. Not really worried about gig 1 and 2. So if I did a range of 5 through 22, since they're not connected, I need to turn those off. How do I turn it off? What's the command to turn an interface off? Shut down, right? All right, so I go into global configuration mode, and then I do my int range. F0/5-22. Shut down. I go into B, do the same thing. This is the same exact setup. Int range F0/5-22. Shut. And I go back and I check my results now. All done. You only have to do it for port 5 and 6, but it's best practice if you do it for everything it's not being used. And that is homework 6. 30 minutes, not bad. That was with me like talking and giving there. All right. It looks like it's a lot, and it is, but they give you a lot of information, and you just have to understand the last couple of steps of how to do things. The storm control and the shutdown interfaces. Questions on homework 6? You guys are an amenable group today. Thank you. All right. I don't save anything because I get to do this again next semester. All right, so let's go ahead and talk just a little bit about some network forensic stuff. And I've not incorporated this into my class, but I'm going to bring up GNS3. And this is not an assignment by any stretch of the imagination. This is just more demo than anything else.